Hey YouTube, it's me Shay of ridiculouscloset.com and welcome back to my channel. As always, love having you guys here. So it is Sunday and we are back for another Ask Shay video. This one is a little bit more lighthearted and it's definitely something different than what my last few Ask Shay videos have been. So I hope that you guys are willing to rock with me for this one. So let's just go ahead and just hop into this letter, okay? Hey Shay. I know normally your Ask Shay videos are about relationships and stuff, but I figured I would write you anyway. I'm going to be a senior in high school and I'm starting to figure out where I want to apply to college. So many of my friends have figured out what other schools they're applying to and I feel like I'm playing catch up. But my issue is even deeper. My mother went to Howard University and my father went to Hampton University, so you can imagine the divide in the house for me and my brother growing up. History of both schools have been drilled into me since we were little. But I'm not sure I want to go to Hampton or Howard or HBCU at all. I haven't told my parents about me looking at other schools. I feel like they wouldn't support me, and since they're helping me pay for school, their support is very important. My question to you is, should I give in to my parents' wishes and follow one of them in HU legacy, or should I take the time to really explore other options in other schools? Please help. Okay, since this video is geared towards my 21 and under crowd, we're not drinking wine today because I'm gonna be responsible. A little responsible. Today we're drinking organic tea lemonade from Trader Joe's. This has been bomb.com lately, so we're gonna go ahead and pour a little bit of this up because obviously I'm not gonna condone underage drinking. That's not what we do here. But anyway, let's go and hop into this video. So one of the reasons why I was really drawn to your letter in particular is because I'm somebody, most of you know, I am a product of a PWI. If you do not know what a PWI is, it's a predominantly white institution. An HBCU, if you are unaware, is a historically black college or university. Now, let me be clear. For those of you who are unaware of HBCUs, it is not black only schools. People of other races and ethnicities are welcome to apply to HBCUs. Okay? Just want to put that out there. Before people, you know, I don't want to talk about comment section on some craziness. You're allowed to apply to HBCUs if you're not African American. Just saying. Okay, moving on. One of the reasons why I really wanted to do this video is because when I was in high school, I actually did apply to 4 HBCUs. I applied to Clark Atlanta, I applied to Hampton, I applied to Spelman, and I applied to to Virginia State. I got into both Hampton and Spelman. I did tour both Clark Atlanta and Virginia State. Clark Atlanta was not for me. My tour was not the best, unfortunately. And those of you who do not know, Spelman is actually literally right next door to Clark. I did not physically tour Spelman. I also knew I did not want to go to an all-girls school, so I don't even know why I applied. I think it was one of those things where I just did it just to see what happened, and I did get in. I did actually tour Virginia State. Virginia State was a little bit too big for me. I realized later on that I did not want to attend a large state school because I prefer a smaller environment academically. I did get into Hampton. I did tour Hampton. The reason why I decided not to attend Hampton was because it just didn't, I don't feel like it fit me. Hampton has a beautiful campus, and the reason why I applied to Hampton was because of their amazing communication and broadcast program. They have an amazing communications program at Hampton, and at the time, that was what I was going to school for. So of course I looked into schools that had what I was trying to do. But when I toured Hampton, I just didn't see myself being there for 4 years. So I removed myself from that whole, from going there. The 2 top choices I had was Oglethorpe, where I initially went to school and graduated, and University of Bridgeport. University of Bridgeport, because I kept them in quote-unquote mind, is because they were cheaper. But when I toured the campus, I was just not here for it at all. And when I toured Oglethorpe, I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the staff, the faculty. My tour guide was amazing to this day. I still speak with her. Hey, Steph. So Oglethorpe, I felt, was where I was supposed to be for 4 years. You can get a great education anywhere, whether it be an HBCU or PWI. You can get a great education anywhere. You have to look at what you're trying to go to school for. That's the first thing I would tell you. Don't look into if it's HBCU or PWI. Look into what you're trying to go to school for. And then you have to find the schools that are going to give you the best program in that direction. So let's say you want to go into dentistry. You know, you have to look at schools that have good good dentist programs, you know, things like that are going to give you the proper foundation for what you're trying to do. Or if you wanted to be a psychology major, look into schools that have proper psychology programs. Whether or not they're HBCU or PWI should be irrelevant in the beginning, because you have to figure out what you're going to school for, so you can figure out if you're going to apply to X amount of schools. You have to find a school that's going to give you the best foundation for what you're trying to do in your future. That's how I looked at it. I mean, you know, some people may, you know, have a different opinion, but I feel like that's how I narrowed down my schools. Now, I get your struggle, because even though I'm first generation college, I'm fully aware of how the legacies of HBCUs work. When your parents went to Howard or Hampton, which you were in a very like rival-filled household, Hampton and Howard have a long-standing legacy, a long-standing historical of being who is the real HU. So naturally, I understand your tug and pull here. You're not sure what you want to do. However, if you haven't sat down with your parents about what you're trying to do, so you don't really know what their response is going to be. They may very well be okay with you not going to Hampton or Howard or any HBCU for that matter. They may very well be open to you looking into non-HBCU institutions. I also, you know, I want to be aware of my privilege in this conversation, because I was blessed to have parents who allowed me to choose where I wanted to go. My parents didn't put any stipulations on where I was allowed to go, whether not even in distance, not in institutions. Like, they allowed me to be fully transparent in where I wanted to go and where I wanted to attend school. So I didn't have the pressure that you have. Also, I think this part of this pressure is just your own mind, because you said you have not sat down and spoken with your parents. So what you need to do is make a list of schools that you're looking into. Figure out what it is you're trying to go to school for, who has the best programs for that particular program, and then you sit down with your parents and say, hey, mom and dad, this is what I'm thinking. I may not want to attend Hampton, I may not want to attend Howard, I may not want to go to HBCU, but this is what I'm looking at. You never know. They may very well be open to that whole conversation. A lot of parents, at the end of the day, just want you to have a good education. They want you to walk away with a solid education. That's part of the reason why you go to college in the first place. To be very honest, parts of me do wish that I did attend an HBCU, because of the history of HBCUs, because of the social life, because of the legacy that comes with being at an HBCU, with the immense alumni program that is available to you. So yes, going to HBCU does have amazing perks. On the flip side, you can also get a great history lesson, a great education at a PWI. I did. I don't regret ever not going to HBCU. However, I will never down at HBCU. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I went to PWI. I am proud of Oglethorpe. I am proud to be a Petrel. Like, I stand my black and gold anytime. I love my school. I support Oglethorpe 100%. However, because I went to Oglethorpe does not mean that a Clark Atlanta is not just as good, that a Spelman is not just as good as a Morgan State, a Fisk. Any of these schools, you know, or all these institutions, does not mean that they're any less or they're inferior to a PWI or to an Oglethorpe that I went to. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look into these schools that are going to ultimately aid you in your future, whether it's a PWI or HBCU. Your goal is to get an education. And your goal is to, you know, depending upon your profession in the future, you need to be able to have that foundation so you can go on and get whatever further degrees you need to get. It's your dilemma. I understand it, and I get where you're coming from. But the first thing, you know, figure out what you're trying to go to school for, and then you speak with your parents. Have that conversation with them, because they may very well be open to you not going to Howard or Hampton. And they may support your choice to go to, I don't know, a Georgetown or a Northeastern or Northwestern or who knows, Notre Dame or USC, something. Like, there are tons of places for you to go, but you have to have this conversation with mom and dad and be like, listen, not on some attitude-ish, because, you know, I'm older, but you know, you have to talk with them. I get that you don't want to let them down, but ultimately your education is your education. Because they're not going to be the ones taking classes for you. They're not going to be the ones on campus with you. They're not going to be the ones dealing with the professors and the staff and the students and the things that come along with being in college. They're not going to be the ones doing it. You are. So if you're at a school where you already are unhappy going to, you are going to struggle the whole entire time you're there. I'm sorry, point blank and period, you're going to struggle. I'm going to throw a little story in here. Bear with me, guys. So I had a young lady who I went to church with for years, and she was much younger than me. And her mother she did have an older brother. Unfortunately, her older brother passed away. And so the mom was very not wanting to let her go. So she didn't want her to travel to school somewhere else. They wanted her to stay close to home, even though this girl was miserable. Like, she would tell me she hates the school she's going to, doesn't like her friend, this other student. She doesn't like the teachers. Like, she just felt so like alienated at the school because she did not want to be there. And when her mom and I would speak, you know, her mom would ask me about where I went to college and, you know, what did I thought about certain things, and, you know, what are some advice I can give. And I told her, I was like, you know, honestly, if she's looking to go away, let her go away, because she's not thriving somewhere where she's not happy. And the same advice I would give to you. You can't thrive at a school you're not happy at. You can't thrive at a school that you're going to just because your parents went there. If you don't want to be there and in that environment, you are not going to thrive. You're going to struggle socially, academically, mentally. You're going to struggle because you already know you don't want to be here. You're just going through the motions. You just here doing it because your parents told you that you had to. So I think you not having a conversation with your parents is doing yourself a disservice. The other thing I will tell you to do is look at some schools. Like, physically go and look at these schools. One piece of advice I was given when I was in high school from my former pastor. My pastor said, when you go to visit these schools, you're going to know if it's right for you or not. That's exactly how I felt when I visited Oglethorpe. When I visited on campus and I got my very personalized tour, I fell in love with the campus immediately. And I was like, oh my God, I can be here for 4 years. Like, I see myself being here for 4 years. When I visited University of Bridgeport, that vibe was not there, child. I was just like, no. And I visited University of Bridgeport before I visited Oglethorpe. When I visited Clark Atlanta, I had one of the worst college tours of my entire career of college tours. That tour was the worst, and it immediately turned me off to the school. Immediately turned me off to going there. Hampton, although I had an amazing tour guide, she was very informative. I remember her being just so informative about the school and about the program, about social life. I just didn't feel like I vibed with the campus. So I didn't want to go to a school where just being here for an hour and some change, I didn't feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to go there. I visited University of Virginia. Nice campus, just wasn't completely here for it. I also visited Rutgers a couple times. I did visit Northeastern in Boston as well. Loved the campus, but when I looked into the school itself, it wasn't for me. So you have to, you know, visit some of these schools. Have you actually been to Hampton or Howard? Have you actually been to any of the schools that you say you don't want to go to? Because the vibe may very well change for you. You might go to Hampton and fall in love with Hampton. You might go to Howard and fall in love with Howard. You know, another HBCU, Morgan State, you might go and fall in love with Morgan. You have to, part of the application process is visiting these schools, because ultimately there is a vibe that you're not going to get from looking at all the brochures and the website, because the brochures and websites are all staged. They want it to look all amazing and diverse and awesome so you can apply. That's the job of these brochures and the website. But you have to take yourself to these campuses and see what life is like. Go when the students are there. Go when it's hustle and bustle and see what these kids are doing. You have to go where your education is gonna be the best. And I mean, of course, if your parents ain't worried about money, you know, fine, whatever. But for me, that package, I ain't gonna lie, was pretty dope. I'm gonna be mad about it. So you gotta put yourself out there to go see what these schools have to offer you. Because you may very well, the schools you didn't want to go to might have what you need and might be what you like. The 3 things that I would say to you in this process is figure out what you're trying to do in school. What do you want to study? Because ultimately you can narrow down your school choices from what schools offer that type of program or something of that nature. Secondly, talk to your parents. Have this conversation with your mom and dad about what you're trying to do, and if HBCU may or may not be in your plan or what you want to do. You have to have that conversation with them, because if they are paying for it, they have to be aware of what you're trying to do. It's only fair and it's only right. Thirdly, visit these schools. Take a weekend or 2 to go visit these schools that you are interested in or may not be fully interested in at all. I mean, tours are cheap. They don't charge you for tours. You can go and visit Hampton, go and visit Howard, go and visit selective HBCUs that you think that you might want to attend, or if they have the program you want, go visit them. So that way you can be sure that you're crossing that off your list. You know, you're making an informed, educated decision. So there you have it, guys. That was my advice for this young lady deciding if she should go to a HBCU or a PWI. You all know I attended a PWI. What advice can you give to somebody who's going between a HBCU or a PWI? Because I want to hear about it. I know she wants to hear about it, and let's just get the dialogue going, folks. Let's talk about it. So as usual, you guys, thank you for watching. I am Shayna of TheGirlsCloset.com, and I will see you in my next video. Deuces.